And 3.
We had said 5:30.
I was still working.
It really isn't hard.
Was making extra cash.
To be here for the podcast.
I am here now.
But we are where we are. Ale, ale, ale.
No, we are where we are. We are where we are.
Yeah, get going.
We are where we are. Oh, we are where we are. Hey, right now we're in Toronto. And this is our podcast. So we hope that you enjoy it. And then it will last.
Or you can
very,
kiss my
very
ass.
long. Or you can. Oh, that was a better one. Damn it. All right.
I think
welcome.
we clipped like crazy coming in there.
Did we?
I hope not.
Well, welcome everybody to our new and improved podcast.
Our branded podcast.
Our branded podcast, which is now called We Are Where We Are. All right, Eric, you explain the title. To his credit, he came up with the podcast name.
Well, I think it works on levels. So, like, we are where we are is like another way of saying it is what it is.
Okay, so first level, we are where we are equals it is what it is.
It's
second
something
level.
I say a lot.
That's the second level?
No, I'm just like,
Oh,
where
the
it's
is
coming
what,
from.
yeah, where
It just-
we
it
we
is
are
what
where
it
we
is.
are.
We are where we are.
So use it in context for it is what it is.
Like, we don't have enough ingredients to finish this, like, food that we're making, but we are where we are. We'll just make do with what we have in the fridge. I don't want to go out to the store and get the hot dog buns, so I put the wiener in a tortilla wrap.
Okay.
Which is also how I used up the tortillas if you were looking for them.
I wasn't, but when did you do that?
It was a late decision last night.
Sorry, you made food after I went to sleep. You know what's
We are
funny,
where we
guys?
are.
Every time I wake up the next day after I've gone to bed a little bit earlier than Eric, I wake up to like tuna having being made, or I didn't even see any trace of the wieners. It's like he was like, must clean every inch of this place so no wiener DNA is left.
Level 2 of the name is like...
And hold on, excuse me.
Okay.
I couldn't eat the wieners the other day because you
Die.
made me wait for you to run out to go get buns, even though I didn't even want buns. I just want the wiener. And you never got the buns, so I never was allowed to eat the wieners. Yet you're here snacking on wieners after 11 p.m.
Wiener. I made sure to count that there would still be 3 and 3. So there's still a sufficient wiener dinner.
No, there should be 3 and 2 because you had already eaten a wiener.
Right, but you never have 3 hot dogs.
Ask me about my wiener. Well, that was
What?
clipping. You don't know where that's from?
No.
Oh my
Is this
god.
like Mean Girls again?
Guys, where is that? I'm not going to say. Where is this?
Dumb
It's
and
from a
Dumber.
movie. It's from a movie. Where is Ask Me About My Wiener from? All right. Eric, what's the second level?
Well, the second level is like... I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know, 2020 is just, you know,
We are
what
where
it's
we are.
been. So you kind of have to take the rough with the smooth on that one. Also, it works on like a geographical level because it's like...
Wait, that's level 3. We're on level 2 right now.
What's level 2?
Level 2 is 2020 left us to be where we are. Like, we are where we are.
Oh, well... Okay,
In
see,
all
that's where
aspects.
I'm blending them, though.
Oh, you're blending them?
Because,
Okay.
like, on the... Like, okay, geographical has 2 levels. So the we are where we are is we thought we would be in New York at this point.
Yeah, and traveling the world.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, we had Asia 2020 penciled in, but, you know...
Oh, Asia 2020.
Like, all the places.
I forgot. Okay.
So we are not in New York, we are in Toronto, so we are where we are.
Yeah.
And then hopefully when travel is allowed again.
We'll still have this podcast and we can be like, hey guys, we are where we are. And today we're in Bali.
Like, it's not a travel podcast, it just
No.
helps that, so it...
Just we can
Yeah.
take it on the road if we are on the road.
So
which
it is what it
hopefully a thing.
is. It's like we're geographically where we are. Like, it works
Yeah.
geographically, it works philosophically.
And
I think it's smart.
It's also symmetrical. And we are
Symmetrical.
designers, so we like that stuff. Anyways, Wawa. We are where we are.
I'm not big on the acronym.
You guys are now the Wawa gang. Wawa gang, what's up? All right. Okay, maybe we'll shelf that for now.
Yeah, like there's actually a shop called Wawa, isn't it? Like a convenience store.
Yeah, but we are with 2 W's.
Wawa.
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 Wawa, gang. Wawa. Maybe we can use it in a different context. So, like, it's like our greeting, like, Wawa.
I don't want that to be a thing.
Okay,
no.
Next.
Okay.
All right. So, Eric and I went to the grocery store the other day. And we were getting ingredients for the most recent YouTube video that I put out.
This is where the hot dogs came from.
Yeah, this is where the hot dogs came from. Yeah. So the recent YouTube video that I put out, even though it's like Halloween themed, you can still watch it because it's an enjoyable video about making food that we saw on Pinterest. And also the mummy dogs, like, they don't have to be a Halloween thing. Neither do the cupcakes. And I mean, you don't need to put black dye in your Alfredo sauce. You can just have butternut squash pasta with regular Alfredo sauce, so you're not making it spooky like we did. So the food is enjoyable to watch, and our personalities are top notch too. So I'm done endorsing the YouTube video. All right, let's move on. So Eric and I. Thank you. Eric and I went to the grocery store to get the ingredients for this video. And while we were in line at the checkout, you know how there's like a shelf of magazines, or not a shelf, but like a
rack.
A rack.
I think it's
There's
a rack.
The word. A rack of magazines. Well, there was a really cool cover of Eddie Van Halen on a magazine. I don't remember what magazine it was. Do you?
Probably best we don't name and shame.
Okay, anyways. So there was a really cool Eddie Van Halen cover, black and white, like just a spotlight shining on him in the middle with his guitar. And I was like, wow, look at this cover, Eric. This is so cool. And I was expecting Eric to give a response like, that is so sick. Like, let me take a picture of this. But Eric was like, that is disgusting.
Did I say disgusting?
I don't know if you said disgusting, but...
That was my vibe.
That was definitely your vibe. You're like, no, I don't vibe with this. And I was like, whoa. Let's save this for the podcast. So
you want me to explain myself?
Yeah, why I thought it was super cool. My side of the story is very short. I thought it was a super cool tribute to Eddie Van Halen. And the cover was just a really awesome shot of him, and he's a dead celebrity, and I thought it was a good tribute. And Eric thinks,
well, my headphones are gonna break here.
Don't mess with that.
I know, but like they're gonna break. Oh, this is okay. I think the photo was awesome. Like, it was like spotlight shining, black and white. That was cool. I just feel a little bit uncomfortable with the magazine because, and I didn't look into it, so for all we know, it could have been for charity, but it just felt like they were capitalizing on his recent death. Mm-hmm. So then they quickly throw together a magazine or a special edition magazine, sell it for $10 to $15, and now all of a sudden they're profiting, basically. Like, if they were selling this magazine and giving the profits to like a throat cancer foundation, because I believe that's what he had, that would be cool. Because
what about his family? For using the likeness of him.
What do you mean? Like, should the money go to them?
Yeah, like what if it's going to his estate?
Yeah, maybe his estate said, instead of flowers, donate to XYZ, and then that's where you can throw the...
I'm not saying donate. I'm saying, what if the magazine is giving the proceeds to the estate, to his estate?
Valerie Bertinelli and Wolfgang Van Halen?
Sure.
I don't know. Like, I guess,
you don't
but...
vibe with that? They're his family.
I'm fine with that as well. Like, again, we don't know where the money's going. But my instinct is
that the magazine is profiting.
A magazine... Yeah, it's just... Because, like, you see all these stupid special editions all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So, like... as soon as the president is announced, you're going to have a special edition.
Right.
Like.
So my question to you then is, how do you do a proper tribute to a celebrity that has passed in a magazine? Or at all? So,
like, if Rolling Stone comes out with the Eddie Van Halen tribute special next month, that makes sense. They're in the business of music.
But how do you know? We don't even know if this magazine was or wasn't. We don't remember it.
I think it was People.
No.
I think it was People magazine's special edition.
I don't think so.
But okay, what magazine could it have been that's on the the only thing I can think is like Rolling Stone or Ultimate
What if
Guitar
it was
Magazine.
like an NPR magazine?
I don't think that's the one we saw. But
I don't know.
Okay. All I'm saying is I just feel uncomfortable when people are like selling a product as soon as someone's died.
I don't know if I agree with the Rolling Stone can do it, but no other magazine can do it.
Well, I use
because
Rolling Stone as an example though, because they're in music.
But people are more than just their music. What if, like, I don't know much about Eddie Van Halen, but like, what if he did something else, like was a philanthropist or something like that, and that warrants a different magazine, not just a Rolling Stone magazine.
Right, but this wasn't like a niche.
I know.
Right?
I can't say because I don't know what this magazine was, but what if that? Don't you think it would be ignorant for that magazine to not acknowledge his death?
Right.
Like, what is more important?
They've gone and created. It's not their October edition includes a tribute like segment. Mm-hmm. It's a special edition magazine, probably filled with a bunch of pictures.
So is that what you think magazines like that should do that are not music magazines? They should just have a 2-page spread and maybe mention it on the cover, but don't make it a cover?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. You know what I mean? How it's just kind of uncomfortable that they're now selling a $15 magazine.
No,
probably
I
accepting the
understand.
profits.
I understand where you're coming from.
Like, it just feels like
I feel like
ruthless capitalism.
We don't have enough information to make an uninformed decision, or to make an informed decision on where the profits are going.
I would be totally comfortable with it if it was going to the right place.
I feel like that is, I was just going to say, as I feel like that's a big deal breaker for you, or deal maker. Like, where is the money from the magazine going?
Is probably where I'm going to feel, I have the opportunity to feel more comfortable with it if they're not profiting, if the money is going to something in his honor.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. What do you guys think, listening? Do you like buying those magazines? Do you not like that they're around? What's the deal? Because I think of it sometimes as like, what if your favorite, I don't know, fashion, like brand? What if your favorite brand, like let's say Steve Madden made custom Eddie Van Halen boots and he sold them, right? He could have been a fan of Eddie Van Halen. He has this clothing line. He wants to pay tribute in the best way that he can. And he makes these Eddie Van Halen boots. And now me, as a lover of Eddie Van Halen and a lover of Steve Madden, they are doing a mashup of each other that I thought I would never see. But it only took for Eddie Van Halen to pass away for it to happen. I'm excited.
So, like, he has this famous pattern. It was like red, white, and black lines.
Okay.
So that literally could be a thing. Steve Madden, what does he do? Purses?
No, he does shoes.
Shoes. Steve Madden shoes could have this pattern on it.
Yeah.
But then, isn't that like an expensive brand? Isn't it going to be like $400 for a pair?
No. It'll probably be $100, but $100 or maybe $150, depending on what the boots are. But you're okay with that?
No, like, I mean,
like, who are you to say that the owners of the magazine are not just huge fans of Eddie Van Halen, or maybe good friends of Eddie Van Halen, and they're doing this for personal reasons?
You know, Gene Simmons from Kiss was famous for this. Like, he branded everything. So his office has everything from like a Kiss pinball machine to a Kiss coffin. Like, it's everything you could brand, he branded. And that is Gene Simmons being Gene Simmons. I don't know necessarily if Eddie Van Halen was that way. But yeah, like a Van Halen pair of shoes could absolutely be a thing. It just feels opportunistic that, like, I guess it's a great time to do it in like the aftermath of someone dying. Yeah. It's a tribute, like you said, but I just feel like the best tribute is not when the profits are being taken, because it's your new marketing opportunity is at the expense of someone's life, basically. What
if Eddie Van Halen was like, yo, friend Steve Madden, if I ever die, I want, like, my dying wish is for you to make my shoes.
But that would come out, right? Like, wouldn't that come out?
But it would just be he said, she said, right?
I guess, but why would Steve Madden go and lie about?
Smart. Well, apparently Steve Madden actually stole designs, but that's another thing for another day.
I can leave it at, if it's in tribute and you're taking all of the profit, you are capitalizing on a marketing opportunity that's come up because someone died, and that feels wrong.
Okay, I just want to say, if I die before you, I want my face plastered on everything and everywhere and take all the profits.
And then mugs and stuff?
Everything.
Do you want it to say, like, rest in peace?
I don't know.
Okay.
But just get all that money and then, pass it down to future family members and also put it to the places that I want it to be put.
So this money has to go somewhere.
It will have to go somewhere.
Got it. See, that's the thing. I'm not going to take the money and just like...
So follow the money, basically, is what you're saying. Where is the money going?
Follow the money.
Follow the money. All right. So I have been trying to ask you this question for the last couple weeks now. And it came up like a month ago, I feel like now. What would it take? Okay, so Eric has this TV that he's been wanting to get. And when we finally moved into the new apartment, he was like, I'm getting this TV, but he did so much research. Well, he wanted a TV, not this particular one he didn't know he wanted yet, but he did so much research on TVs. And then he finally said, okay, I found a TV that I want to get. And then he got it. So it's your baby. He won't let me touch it too much.
Wow.
Or at all.
No, no fingers on the screen.
No fingers on the screen.
No fingers on the screen. You can touch the remote. There's just no need. It's not a touch screen television, so you don't need...
He wants me to always turn it off, even if I've gone to the bathroom and come back.
No, it's more like we're going to the store. I'll just leave the TV on.
No way.
You leave the light on in the office.
So, I'm going back to the office.
When we're done at the store looking at Eddie Van Halen magazines and buying hot dogs.
All right. What would it take for you... So you know those trade me projects that like they trade a paperclip until they get to a house, until they trade for a house?
Yeah.
What would it take you to trade for your TV? What would you have to trade for?
Okay, while I answer this, can you think of something that you own equivalent to the TV?
I don't know what I own. I mean, I can think of price range things like my laptop. I mean, more expensive than the TV, but like I just think that laptops are like replaceable.
So I think that this one's actually not that hard for me.
Really?
Because the TV itself doesn't have like any sentimental attachment. I just wanted like the best TV that I could get that wasn't going to leave me shaking a cup. So that's why I settled on this one.
Shaking a cup.
So I think because it's... I'd kind of go for the next thing that I want that I don't have in monetary value above the TV, because I could buy that exact same TV again.
Okay.
So that next thing above is there's a particular guitar that I want. It's a Fender Stratocaster and it's black, just like David Gilmour's.
But how much more expensive is that? Why would that be a good trade for the person trying to trade up to a house? Wouldn't the Fender be way more expensive than the TV?
Right, but so the person who... Oh, so I have to have something... Well, no, because you could probably get this in like the $1,000 to $1,500 range. So, yeah, it's kind of not really a huge... So I have to find something that's similar to the TV. You're saying, how does it advantage me? How can I move up? Or how can they move up? No,
I'm saying, how can they move up? Like, if somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm trading all the way up to a house... I want your TV, I'll give you this. What would you trade your TV for? I mean, the Stratocaster would be great if you were trading up, because that's a trade up in value. But what would you have to accept? Because you're kind of accepting something of lesser value, right? Or something of the same value, but is more specific, I would say, because the TV is very generic, so people will trade, like, that person is more likely to get someone to trade them for something else for a TV than like a pair of custom $900 shoes. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone's more likely to trade for a TV. So what would you have to trade your TV to someone that is of equal or lesser value?
So the guy that did this, the first guy that did this, he traded the red paper clip.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he traded for, I believe, was like a VIP concert experience. So if there was a situation where like I was one of 20 people that got in for sound check and got to just say hey to the band afterwards, like that would be kind of cool.
Right. And that would probably be like $800 to $1,000 maybe. Yeah. Looking at the price of our other ticket that we were looking at for the concert.
So so what was that tour? Was Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Poison and Joan Jett. If I could watch all of them sound check and all, well, I think you had to pick one for the meet and greet, but still.
Yeah, that would be a good deal. I see. Yeah, that would be great.
So what's yours? So you have a laptop.
I don't know. I have a laptop.
MacBook. Was that like $1,500?
Well, that's the thing, is that there are some one-time purchases on here, like Logic Pro, that I would be giving up if I gave up the laptop.
But you got that through the App Store, so you could get that again.
Oh.
So just the hardware.
Oh, so if I get a new laptop, I can actually install that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But see, laptops are replaceable, so I don't really care.
Yeah, but if you get rid of this, you know it's going to cost you like $1,500 to get a new one.
Yeah.
So where you at?
What would I trade for? I would trade for a concert experience. Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I would also trade for a trip somewhere. Like Bali can be inexpensive.
I feel like you might just get plane tickets for...
I would love to go to like the Maldives or Hawaii, but I don't know if that's more expensive or not.
Yeah, it's
for
hard to swing for
$1,500. Okay, so then probably the Maldives or Bali. Probably Bali, because you can get a luxury stay and tickets for under $1,500.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Huh. I think you can.
I thought it was just for the Tories. Like, I thought it was really expensive.
No, Bali is inexpensive, I believe.
Oh, okay.
That's why so many people, like Americans, buy houses there as like a second home. Like, there's this YouTuber guy who actually owns a house in Bali, because they're like huge houses for not that long. I don't know how that toilet situation is there though. So
what do you mean, that toilet?
The toilet situation.
Well, you don't
in
think
Bali.
The nation has running water?
Well, my friend Tori told me something about peeing or doing her business in like a hole in the ground.
That can't be. I don't know. I guess in China you do that thing where you have to squat.
What?
Yeah.
They don't have toilets in China?
Well, I'm sure in general there are toilets, but like it's not uncommon to see like public bathrooms where it's just a hole in the ground.
What?
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to experience
this is what
the
I've
world.
Heard, so.
Wow. Okay. So on to our last topic here that'll take us all the way to the end of our first episode of our newly branded podcast. Very on brand for us now. I'm going to start this off, but then I want you to do the rest of the talking. So basically, we're recording this, or we're putting this out. It's November 4th right now. And on November 1st...
November 3rd.
I'm putting it out tomorrow, Eric.
Oh.
It's November 4th right now. And
I know, but the world could be a different place tomorrow.
Okay, I was just going to cut that
There's
out.
an election. Like, this is significant.
All right, I'll
tomorrow
leave this all in.
Could be the start of something.
I'm leaving this all in.
I know. It's
all right, we're recording this on November 3rd. So we are in Canada, but in the U.S. it's election night. Anyways.
It could be conscription. Like, sorry, go on.
Okay, it's November 3rd. You're listening to this on November 4th or later. My 3-year anniversary was on November 1st for surgery. So if you do or don't know, if you're stumbling upon this podcast because you think our title is cool, or if you're a longtime listener of ours, I have had multiple surgeries on my ankle and on my eyes, but on my ankle. And 3 years on November 1st, it will have been 3 years, and I'm still working on this thing, trying to walk again. Eric and I I'm gonna let you speak in a second.
Yeah, okay. It's
but
fine.
Eric and I, so last night, I'll just give you this context. I had a breakdown, and I turned to Eric and I said, is this a breakdown? Is this a mental breakdown? And Eric said to me, oh, nah, that's just the appetizer. That's just the teaser. Frick, I messed it up. What did you say to me?
I don't remember.
You said,
that was the idea.
No.
Like, the best is yet to come.
Yeah, the best is yet to come. Like, oh, this is just the appetizer. I was like, what? This is not the main course of the breakdown? Okay. Anyways, Eric, explain what you want to talk about.
Well, I think that, I don't know if this is like me just telling myself this and everyone else gets to listen while I think out loud, but your concern was the idea that if compared to what you were thinking 3 years ago, where you would be 3 years from then, is kind of a disappointing result. So 3 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that you're still struggling with mobility and maybe how that's impacted your career, let's say.
You know what's funny is I was going through old Instagram posts because I wanted to just commemorate, like post the first surgery picture that I posted on Instagram. And while going through that, the picture right before that, it's of the Toronto sign at Nathan Phillips Square. And my caption is, back in the motherland, or back in the homeland for a couple of months. A couple of months! Months! And I'm here for 3 years.
So, basically what I took from that is this idea, like, you can't help but look back, right? And it's super easy to look back and be critical because you can see the opportunities that you missed. So my thinking is, how can that be flipped? So you can think of it as, well, these are the open goals that I've missed, and past me would be disappointed to find out what present me is going through, or what my situation is in work or in life or whatever. So my thinking is, what if you could flip it so that future you looks back on current you and says, I had a good, or I did the right thing, or I made the right decision. So how does that make sense? How can you right now start thinking of it the way that future you will look back and think of it like, oh, that was
right
in a positive sense?
So are you asking, how can I see it now? Like, how can I change my perspective so that I can live my life in the present moment? Or are you asking, what things should I / can I be doing now to make future me proud?
I don't know if it's either. Maybe I misinterpreted your first.
So my first one is like you saying that, are you saying like, so I don't have any more of these mental breakdowns about we are where we are? Are you saying that, like, if I look at it as future me looking back on this period with a fondness, or like being able to see more clearly about this period, are you saying that I should have a perspective shift so that I can live life enjoyably during this period?
Yeah,
or are you asking me
the perspective shift?
What can I do now to make future me happy?
Is 3 years from now looking back, or 5 years from now looking back. So imagining yourself in that mindset, and then thinking, so in 3 years time, or in 5 years, or in 1 year, what would I have wanted myself to do in this situation?
Right.
So like, I could say, like, when I said like I did the right thing, or we have it good. So if you have a goal to be like, I want to be in this particular position in 3 years from now, how can you not look at the time in between us building and still feel like in this moment at the start of the build, I had it good? So I could also flip it to the sense that, like, right now looking back, I can say that I'm still glad that, like, I walked away from a job and tried to do the New York thing, because had I not done that, I would have been left thinking, what if? Right? So that's me now looking back is saying to past me, do the things so you're not wondering what if.
So are you just saying this as like a fact, not a fact, but like a suggestion to change my mind, or is there a question in here?
No, I don't think it's a question. I think
okay. Now I understand.
Yeah, it's so if you are thinking,
so in response to my breakdown, this is what you're saying.
Yeah, so
gotcha.
In your current situation, you can see it as future or past me didn't think present me would be in this position. Mm-hmm. But then the other way to look at that is literally, okay, so you said 3 years ago, so 3 years forward. 3 years from now, future me, how will he look back at present me and say, I started it or I did the right things?
Yeah.
Like this was my building blocks and I'm glad they were there.
Yeah. I'm hoping that in 3 years I can say I'm so glad I didn't give up. Like
and not
wherever I am now, oh thank God it paid off to not give up on what I wanted.
Right. And then even beyond that, it's like that 6 pillars thing we were talking about. So like maybe in 3 years you want them to be in a particular place. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not as far off as you think. Or in 3 years you can look back and say, yeah, it wasn't as far off as I think. Or like maybe you think like literally geographically is not where you want to be. But I can kind of tell myself like at least we have it good in the sense that like the place we're in is decent and all that, like the view and the bright lighting and everything that you're trying to tick the boxes of. Like we can say that if this is our example of a plan B, like we still have it good. Right. This is all advice I'm not going to take myself and still beat myself up. So we are where we are. But
I think that was one of the things that became clear when we were talking last night, or I forget, was it the night before?
I think
it
was 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. I think the thing that became clear to me was that most of the things, and I told you this, so I'm telling you, the listener, this, that most of the things that most of the areas most of the phases in my life that I progressed the most and saw the most change in a good way happening was a phase in my life that I was happy living in. So like before I moved to LA and New York, I was very happy in university. Like I was still wanting more, but I was having fun with my friends and I was going out and I was working and I was doing school and I was working in commercials and on short films and stuff. Like I was happy with where I was, or so I look back on it now and think that I was happy. I'm sure I was going through things back then as well, but I was happy. I wasn't not looking for more, but I wasn't like, I wish I could be somewhere else. I was living in the moment still. And then when I was in New York, the same thing. Like I still wanted more for myself. Like I still had goals that I wanted to achieve, but I was very happy living in New York and in the moment that I was in at that moment, right? And so now I feel like nothing, like change is not going to happen unless I'm happy with where I am right now. And I feel like there's that tension. It's like things are going to keep happening to you until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn. Or you're never going to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a significant other until you learn to be happy with who you are. Like it's the minute you stop chasing it and stop looking for it that it comes to you, right? So I feel like the more that I feel like I don't want to be here and I want to be in New York or some other place, or the more that I want to act or whatever and I'm not doing it, I feel like the more I'm not going to get it. And so I need to find a way to actually be living and be happy in the moment that I'm in, the phase of my life that I'm in. I also, going back to the Instagram captions, I read another one of my captions. I should really take my own advice. But like I read another one of my captions that said, the hardest time you'll ever have in your life is when you're transitioning from one phase into another. And I feel like I'm having a very, very hard time right now. So I'm hoping that this is a transition.
You said that caption, and that's when I said, like, the transition's over. Like, this is the phase.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, I get that this is the phase, but I don't think the transition is over.
Like, broadly, a transition is over. But, like, for example, like, New York as a chapter.
I get that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like mental, physical, emotional transformation, because when I was still living in New York before we permanently moved here and I still had the place and stuff, like that was still a transitional period for me. It's the emotional and intellectual, like it's that transformation that is happening to me right now. Like I said, if I didn't have this whole trauma that I've been through, I would not be like as mentally strong as I am now. I would have been falling into patterns that I didn't see until after the fact. Like I didn't know that I didn't love myself that much, or I didn't know that I didn't like my own company, like, and all this stuff. I didn't figure out that I could be okay not having somebody with me or being stagnant in life. Do you know what I mean? Like all of these things I had to realize after the traumatic experience. And that is a transitioning phase. That was a really hard time in my life because I was just going through a transition phase mentally and emotionally. I think that is the phase that I'm talking about, not like it is hard to geographically move into one phase, like move, but I think the phase that I'm talking about is like a mental, emotional, spiritual phase.
Humor me.
Okay.
That period where your mom was away.
Yeah.
That March to July-ish when everything was under lockdown. And I think that was, in my understanding of what we're talking about, a transition. Because things were frozen. Mm-hmm. Or at least it felt that way. Like progress was frozen because there was uncertainty of, how long things are going to be and whatnot. And then it felt like when we made the decision to get this place, and then suddenly your mom's back, and then suddenly we're going back to New York to get our stuff, and suddenly we're here. Like this feels like the start. And then similarly, like January, February, living in a hospital for a week or two, that feels like the end of something, and then you have that frozen period. So when I'm saying phase, I can see what you're saying, like like a cognitive transition kind of thing. What I'm thinking is like they're kind of things that work in opposition of each other. So when life is frozen, there's no mental transition. But when life is back to normal again, and then you're dealing with the stuff, so you will now in the life phase have that like mental transition.
I had the mental transition in the stagnancy phase, though.
What do you mean?
So I had the mental transition in the stagnancy phase. What do you mean?
You got to use a different word than exactly the same thing you just said.
When I paused, I had the transition. That's when I thought, I looked inward and reflected on. You just said
this is a transition. So there's two transitions?
No, I'm saying that I'm still in the transition phase.
So it began then.
It began then, and I went through a part of the transition, like understanding who I was and getting back to what makes me tick. And now I still feel like there hasn't been significant change to say that the transition period is over. I'm still in this transition. I'm still in this phase, this like sort of stagnant phase. Like, yes, I have a job, but I've always had a job even through that phase. Like, I have you, but like before I had you, I needed to, like, part of the transition was recognizing, I guess you are part of closing that transition, but I just don't feel in my heart that the transition is over, because I think that like there's like a couple of factors to me transitioning into a different mentality and emotional prowess, that like part of it was the whole what I talk about in my upcoming poetry / mini short story book is that my driver of life is love. So like going through a period where I felt like that was ripped away from me and learning that I had to love myself before anyone else, and that like I needed to stop attracting someone just because I wanted somebody to share my moments in life with. That's when I learned that like I'm going to be okay with who I am and being on my own until that person comes, right? Which ended up being you. You have something to say?
Yeah. So then you use that to kind of keep it grounded in the original thing I was saying.
But hold on. I'm saying that is part of the transition phase because that helped me emotionally like transform. But part of it is also the ankle trauma because it's still an emotional resilience that I have to practice. So I have gained that emotional resilience, but I'm not like, it's not ingrained in me. It needs to be like an innate thing. I still get worked up and it's not like an automatic thing yet, which is why I don't feel like the transition is necessarily over, because I think that there are still things, like I feel like when I'm walking again with no injuries is when the transitional period will be over, because it's like I fought for something and I had to not give up on fighting for that thing.
Okay, but
anyways, my 2 cents.
Right. But the transition being over, the point of the question is when it's over, how will you look at right now? And what aspects of right now will you say I had good or better than I thought I did at the time?
Yeah, I get it.
So it's kind of, it's not even about the transition. It's about where you are in the transition, and are you undervaluing certain things that you have right now because all you see is what you don't have.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Eric hit his hand.
You'll hear it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get it. I just went on this long tangent about how I'm still in a transitional period from one phase of my life to another. Like, I think I'm in the transitional period of like maturity. I think that's honestly what it is, because I think that before this trauma, I was very immature. Like, I didn't know how to influence my emotions. I was still trying to control them, and now I know that there's no controlling your emotions. There's being emotionally resilient, but you know, there's just all these things that I've learned where I think I was very immature before the trauma, and I thought I was wise beyond my years, but now I'm actually wise beyond my years.
So that's all context, right? Yeah,
that's all context.
What is one thing, not the one, but what is one thing that you would then say, future you will look back on November 3rd, 4th, 2020
yeah,
and say, I had it decent at that point, more than I thought?
I don't know, just the fact that I'm living here, that I have a job that loves me, and that I'm working on things that make me happy, like this podcast, like my writing and the book that I'm about to put out, like my YouTube videos. Like, I think that I do get worked up, like, in the day-to-day sometimes, like, oh, nobody's liking my Instagram, or the algorithm hates me, or, oh God, that YouTube video just did very poorly. But, like, I think I'll look back and say, I'm glad I didn't give up. I think it's about not giving up in this period. Like, I'm glad I called the hospital 17,000 times. Like, I'm glad I stayed patient, or I'm glad I just, even though it was difficult and I keep feeling like I'm jumping through hurdles with my ankle and trying to get that processed and fixed, I think that I'm going to be glad for all the actions that I'm taking, like, even though it's taking slow and I'm very upset with it in the day-to-day. Like, I think in the long run, I'll be happy for not giving up on what I want. I think that's, like, just the main thing.
Those are answers.
Like, and I think that's all across the board. Like, not giving up with my ankle, not giving up with the YouTube videos, not giving up with the podcast. Like, I want to say, and I hope I'm manifesting this, that all of these things are going to become what I want them to become. Like, they're going to become something great and something that will hopefully like become my one of my main sources of income, let's say. Like, I think all these things that I'm doing now will pay off in the future. So I hope and I think that future me will look back on now and be like, I'm so glad I didn't give up this day when I really wanted to stop making YouTube videos because they kept doing poorly, or this day because nobody's listening to our podcast, or this day because my numbers on Instagram are going down and all I am doing is losing followers. Like, do you know what I mean? Or this day because I really just thought about fusing my ankle just to get everything over with. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I'll be happy with. You?
Oh, me? I didn't know that was going to come to me.
Let's talk about your issues.
Well, see, the thing is, I have impending joblessness. Like, that's the thing. So, ask me next week on the podcast when I'm out of contract.
Well, what will you be proud of in the future? Because you were very...
My thing is the scaff.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were very not okay with not having your New York experience under 30.
Yeah, which is
might not
likely to happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen on the cusp, but like, it is what it is.
So what will you be proud of in the future, even though in your day-to-day you kind of are frustrated sometimes about that?
Well, because, like, I don't know, so on the joblessness, it's not like I'm being sacked. Like, it's sort of that's just the context of the situation. So I'm going to be out of contract, possibly like work for hire, and then we're going to build something. Yeah. That's the idea.
Yeah.
During a pandemic is the ideal time to ask people to pay you
absolutely
random money.
Well, actually, everyone's going online, and brick and mortar businesses didn't think that was important prior to the pandemic, and now they see the importance and value of it. So we are in a good business.
Yeah. But I think it's ultimately just like looking at, I don't know, I don't romanticize the grimy startup. Mm-hmm. Like, you see all the pictures of like Facebook and Amazon, and they're huge
they all
now.
Start in
and
garages.
Just like this dingy corner, poorly lit, terrible desk. Like, I guess this is actually where this whole conversation started from, is the idea that if I look back and say we had it good, if we start and build something of this business, we can look back and say that as a startup, we had it good compared to what startups usually are.
I was going to say, I think that's you looking back is going to be like, I did it the way that I wanted to do it. And that is not listening to everyone else, thinking that I had to eat rice and live in a shoe.
And that was the example I gave you, where when I was in high school, I said, I don't want to stock shelves.
Yeah.
I don't want to flip burgers.
Yeah.
You still need to make money. So I got like an office job over the summer, worked 40-hour weeks, and then didn't have to work during school. Didn't have to stock shelves. So I didn't have to rough it to still get the money I needed to go to the movies or go to a TFC game or whatever.
Right. All right. Well, welcome to our new branded podcast. We hope you like our name, and if you don't, you can kiss our ass.
Album art coming next week.
Yeah, the real album art. Yeah. This one is...
We're working on something.
Text album art, but next week you might see...
No, you will see.
Our beautiful faces. All right, thanks for listening, and let us know about that jingle at the beginning. All right, see ya. Bye.
Bye.